Happy New Year, everybody. It is January 1st of 2023 and the very first episode of Busting Out of the New Year. I'm one half of the BrunchBusters. I am Bobby Munson, and the other half of that team, right beside me, Mr. Chris Parrish. Happy New Year. How you doing this morning?
I feel like a new man. No, I'm just kidding. I'm the same guy, but Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us in the first OLE show 2023. How is everyone's New Year going so far?
Well, I'm sure we're going to find out very, very soon as we got friends joining us in the chat here today. We've got, of course, Ed Fries, another contributor here on Our Local Establishment. Ole, and Happy New Year to you too, Ed. And again, if you didn't get an opportunity to catch Ed amongst a great panel of individuals here for the year-end award show, a fantastic show that brought in some great views and a lot of new faces to Our Local Establishment, a very successful program that took place on Friday. So congratulations to Ed and everybody involved. What a wonderful show that was there. So go check out the replay of that one anytime. And as you saw at the top of our show, of course, yes, RIP Don West. It's unfortunate that we lost a great person in the wrestling community here just recently. And, of course, Basser69. Ryan, Happy New Year. How you doing, sir? Hope you had a great night last night and that you're not too hungover this morning. Speaking of New Year's hangovers, Parrish, are you doing okay? You didn't hit the sauce too heavily last night?
No, I actually didn't. It's kind of weird. I'm okay, people. I am okay. Just before you ask, yes, no, I am okay. It's busting out today. It's also football. Don't worry, I'll make up. But no, I didn't hit the sauce too much. I didn't get too wild last night. In fact, I kind of forgot about it, doing other things. So yeah, how about you?
No, you know what? We made it past midnight, so had a good night in with the wife, and we did hit the sauce, but not heavily enough to keep me down because, again, I was up bright and early this morning, feeling good. Sun shining. Hey, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood as we kick off 2023.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful day on a podcast as well. If everyone has an opportunity in the chat, make sure you're telling your friends. You know, as you were mentioning, we brought in new viewers with the year-end review with hosted by Ed, alongside with Cody and Mel Ball and friend Lauren. Good night. So absolutely awesome to see. So if you have the opportunity, go let other people know what we're doing, what's going on. Busting Out 2023 is happening right now. We'd love to meet new people. In fact, yeah, that's kind of, I think, one of our goals here at OLE is that we want to meet more people. We want to meet new people. So it's going to be a fun time, fun year, I think. Very excited.
Yeah, lots of great things on the horizon for us. Of course, later in the program here, we will get to the calendar. Again, we got another busy week ahead of us here in OLE. A lot of exciting things that are on the table as, again, we continue to bring in new faces, new shows, giving people a little bit of everything. Again, we're not just a typical wrestling, programming site here. We do have a lot of diversity. Again, with shows like Paramindful, we've got Marvel Talk, we've got all sorts of things that we're offering here. So again, if you have any great ideas for 2023, things that you'd like to see added to Our Local Establishment, maybe you've got the next great show idea to bring to the table, reach out to any one of us, because again, we want to hear from you guys, because it is Our Local Establishment, and that means a collective of all of us. We want to get you guys in on the conversation and in on the shows. And again, see what we can do to add and take this thing to the next level here in 2023 with all of you on board.
Yeah, but I think that's good enough. I think we get to the first thing we want to talk about, because there actually is some stuff in the wrestling to talk about. And one of them, as you can see, it's actually the fact that WWE is thinking about making a new world title. In fact, rumors circulate that they actually are in talks to make and design a new world title as we know right now. So my question is, what do we want it to look like? Who's the first one to hold it? And are there other championships we hope are going to be redesigned as well?
Now, when we're talking a new world title, again, I have not heard this news just yet, so I got to ask: are they talking about an amalgamated version of the championship belt? Like this is finally going to combine the two goofy-looking W logo straps that Roman holds over his shoulders every week. Oh, be a beautiful gentleman.
Beautiful.
Andre, good morning and happy New Year, sir. Damn, beautiful. Whew. Feeling good. You really know how to make a guy blush.
Is it getting hot here? Gotta take off this one. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I don't know if it's to replace the current Universal and WWE Championship or if it's to combine the two. I don't have that information. I don't know. All I know is that there's talks that they could be redesigning. So whether or not they're redesigning one to combine or potentially two, I don't know. I think that's kind of open for speculation, I guess. But I think I'm in the same way as probably you feel about hopefully that this just combines the two.
Mm-hmm.
And then worst case, you're using your IC or your US title on another show when that champion's not there and help prominently use that one as your highest men's championship. But I don't know. Like I really don't know. I do like the fact that we're talking about a redesign because I get nerdy when it comes to that stuff. I'm curious. I hope there is. I kind of want them to change the U.S. title simply because I want the Eagle to be on the world title. But I don't know. It's also weird. But my thing is, I want to know who's the first one to hold it because I remember when CM Punk had that John Cena spinner one, and I remember the promo and he's like, "Because this thing has been far too ugly for far too long." And then he loses it to The Rock, and The Rock is the one that presents it. And I thought that was a missed opportunity to not have CM Punk be that, the voice of the change, but not my call. So if it was our call, who are we picking?
Good choice.
Ladies.
Or a good, interesting question. But we have definitely gone down this path in terms of topics in 2022 because again, the redesign is something that got mentioned once the titles were coming together in the first place. And again, like yourself, I am hoping for this to be an amalgamated version. This is the undisputedly champion of their company, because we don't need a whole bunch of titles floating out there because I get sick of too many belts. I want to see a redesign that fits the person. And again, that if they are going to roll with Cody Rhodes as the champion, and again, I think that they should. I think that the story with Cody Rhodes definitely speaks to itself, and it's going to have that hero feel to it. I think that we need it to go the direction that he was talking, and not go back to the Gold Eagle title of the 1990s, but to come up with something new and fresh that has that same feel to it. A redesign of that championship that pays homage to that championship belt, but also speaks to a new generation and gives something completely different, something that people will definitely get behind. And I think that they need to not just assume that people are going to like it. They need to come up with some designs. And then what they need to do is take those and get some opinions, get some feedback from people within the industry. Like, is this the one? And just roll with it and see what comes out of it.
A fatal one. Welcome.
Fatal one. Thanks for joining us. Happy New Year. Also, Mel will join us as well, too. And Happy New Year to you as well. Glad to see so many delightful people, wonderful people in the chat with us today, Parrish. Again, that's what makes
first time
Sunday
chat, so
Monday.
Bringing the hype, by the way. So we appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Happy New Year to you, too. We're talking new world title potentially in WWE. A new design being rumored to be in the making. Very interested on my end. Like I said, I nerd out with stuff like this. I love it. I'm so traditional in that sense of a championship should be the perfect visual representation of the company. I thought the winged eagle, and even when you had the big round winged eagle, they were great world titles. I love that undisputed championship. I understand why people love the big gold, but to me, that never screamed WWE. That was always WCW and NWA to me. But yeah, no, going back to what you're saying, like I want to see something that's modern. I want to see something that's current, but I also want to see something that's cool. I want WWE to really change the game, so to speak, and be like, yeah, now this is what a world title looks like. Because I'm not going to lie, I'm WWE biased a little bit in terms of that's who my number one company is. That's who my favorite company is. That's who I watched as a kid. Not saying I don't like anything else. But also when I see WWE's world title belt look pretty,
not just your favorite,
pretty weak. Yeah. But pretty weak in the sense of the way the title looks. And then I see AEW come out and put down a beautiful championship. All I'm thinking is WWE, step your game up.
Yeah, it's time. I
and
mean,
this
again,
is the first championship under the Triple H regime. So it'd be interesting.
We're getting a little tired of the old logo look anyway. It's time to switch gears here in 2023, and hopefully the company is looking to doing that and pushing the envelope. And again, they can start and make a big statement right there with that championship belt. Again, we got comments flying in like crazy. This is a fun day Sunday. Happy New Year. I'm loving this. Personal preference. I do not like the fruit roll-up looking belts. I agree with Parrish. AEW has great looking classic legit championship belts. And again, that's I believe where they need to get back to is just something that looks like a championship. You look across actual combat sports and stuff like that, whether it be MMA, boxing, anything of the sort, and those belts look like championship belts. They look like something that is made to be a sporting belt. And if they did that and sold off the idea that their championship matches mean something, then they could really get back to a bit of the sporting feel that should be felt, especially when you're putting forth a championship matchup.
Yeah, Canada coming in saying, I'm really looking forward to the set redesign for AEW this week. And I think that is something that, and I know this is a little off topic, but it's in the same realm of redesign, which is kind of what the topic is in a way. But I think that's what visually we love as a viewer is just always seeing the product evolve, whether it's a set design, whether it's a logo, whether it's a championship title, whether it's somebody's gear, right? Even if it's so minor, but to us, it's such a big deal because this is what we love to see. This is what we get so enamored by. Yeah, like it's going to be just cool. Presentation is huge. I'm still hoping Raw gets a makeover because it doesn't feel raw to me. But yeah, no, AEW definitely. They always seem to be a little bit more different, and they definitely go to what looks cool, and that's definitely a visual that is nice to see. The only problem with AEW is they just have too many titles. And I know WWE does too. Don't at me on that. I know they're aware of. But when we're going back to the classic look, one title that I was kind of about just because of the strap, because I am traditional. I do like the black strap. But that North American Championship in NXT has grown on me so much that I would love to see WWE kind of go to something along that way in terms of the way it looks. Like maybe not a circle. I find those circle plates are becoming too much of a thing right now. Stay away from that. Having that, like, I don't want to say Jeff Hardy Immortal look where you have that weird cut on the leather, but something unique that makes you. I think that's a big one. I mean, they tell us right away when we start training that it's important that you establish who you are and be a little different, stand out. I think your championship has to stand out. And I think that's something that I'm doing. But I agree with you that Cody Rhodes probably should be the first person to hold it.
Mhm.
Although I wouldn't be upset if Roman Reigns was that guy too, because I mean, let's face it, the guy's held that he's been your champion for since the World War, so why not?
Well, I mean, again, by the argument I was making too is that should be the first person who wins it. I guess I'm not opposed to the idea of it being given to Roman or Roman being presented with it leading into WrestleMania, because I mean, a new title design going into WrestleMania would look absolutely phenomenal. And then you can have Cody Rhodes be the guy that finally dethrones him, gets that belt, gets the opportunity to have all the beautiful pictures taken with the confetti and the fireworks going off, there in Hollywood, the new big star of WWE, Cody Rhodes, the first Rhodes to ever finally reach the top of WWE and get to that championship. I mean, that's the story they want. And it's the story that they can get and the story that people are going to talk about. And that's what I think the company needs to do personally. And I think that they will do at the same time.
Yeah. Andre, I thank you. I also need to clarify. It's not that I don't like the circle plates. I just find everyone is doing it. So I kind of like to do something different. Also, it's the design too. Like I looked on the 24/7 title. And then even on the Intercontinental, and then what a potential tag title league was. I don't expect people to know what I mean by the Aztec kind of logo or the graphics or design. But it looks like something I would see on those National Treasure movies. Like when they're looking for that hidden treasure and you're getting like the maize crop thing. What are those fields called again? Like the maize fields.
You got me.
We're like when you overlook and you see the pathway kind of go. Yeah, that's what it feels like. But I don't know. But yeah, no. But also just to say, like any other championship, yeah, I think if you're changing the WWE and Universal title, you want to up the women's titles too. Just because they look exactly the same. So the tag titles for sure. I think that needs to be done. Yes, crop circle. But like, the maze.
We're good for
oh yeah, very, very. I didn't have my ketchup buttered bread today, so I'm not sophisticated enough with my words.
And look, I disgusted Carl so bad last week that he didn't even come back for round 2. Even Papa Smokes was smart enough to avoid the invite.
We got to give Carl a little bit of slack. He was working, keeping the streets safe where he lives. So I mean, let's cut him some slack a little bit.
Hopefully, he didn't have a chip
spooky.
Speaking of spooky,
no, I'm not gonna lie.
All new pair of
buttering my bread and putting it in ketchup is a little spooky-ish to
me. Fantastic. That's some fine cuisine right there.
I don't think it is. But any other championships in WWE you like to see designed?
I like to see redesigned in WWE. Well, yeah, of course, the women's titles need to be redesigned because again, they're just the logo. You mentioned the U.S. title. I was never a big fan of that U.S. title. I always thought it looked cartoonish. I don't really like the cartoony look to it. I think that it could have a little bit more of a serious feel and everything like that. So I feel like that could be updated. I mean, you've already updated the Intercontinental title. Like, give a makeover to the U.S. title while you're at it. If Triple H really wants to put his stamp on this era and say this is me now, then he needs to start changing things. And the belts are a big one.
Yeah. Gonna pose a question, and I want even the chat to answer this. What are you more a fan of? The custom side plates, which I personally feel they need to do more on the customization instead of just somebody's name in gold. And you'll know what I see if you go to search up and you see actual designs for people. Or do you like the actual nameplate on the main plate title? Kind of like on Big Gold where you can, you have your name written on. Would you prefer that? Would you prefer a side plate or would you prefer nothing at all and just cares? Like, who cares about your name being on the championship? What do people think, and where do we come on that one? Because I know that is something of relevancy. Oh, and also, snaps need to go back on. Just put the snaps back on. Yeah. Velcro can get the F out.
It sure can. Personally, that was one thing I do really like about Big Gold is the name on the front. I like that idea. If there is a spot for it that works with the title design, I really do enjoy the idea of having that right dead center, naming the champion there. Again, I don't know what it's like for ease of adjusting and stuff like that. If maybe it's easier to do the side plates and that's why the company chooses to go that direction, or it just doesn't fit that ugly ass belt that they're currently rolling with. I mean, personally, if you can find a way to make it work, I'd say use the front ones. But again, if you can't, then the custom side plates are cool. But you're right. If you're going to do custom side plates, why not jazz it up a little bit more and accustom it to who the person is? Give it a little bit more personality to that individual that is the champion.
Yeah. Melbourne coming in saying, I personally like the belt appearing as a regular and custom side plate. I think it looks too more uniform and allows the worker to still add their flair with side plates. That's the thing. Like, I'm so torn between whether or not I like one or two, like whether I like the side plates or the main plate one better. I'll say this. I think side plates should be on every secondary championship, and the main plate engravement should be on the main championship. For example, the world title should have the main plate on, or the nameplate on the main title, but the IC title, US title, they should have side plates. Make it an elevation of the championship you have. And same thing, if you have the women's championship, you have a nameplate on the main, or the name bar in the main plate. But if you want to make a secondary, like an IC title for the women, or a secondary championship for the women's division, which, by the way, WWE, think about it, please. But yeah, then do side plates. But I also like the old Winged Eagle title where, it was just a championship and the person didn't have their name on the championship. It was just, you needed to make the title worth more, because the title, it's that added question, or do you make the title or does the title make you, kind of a thing. Yeah. To me, it just made, if you couldn't put your name or edit the championship, it always meant that that championship was always the most important thing. So I do like that. And maybe I'm just thinking a little too nerdy. But also coming in, depending on how much the championships cost to make and how much the title changes hands will depend on how much they're willing to invest in that. I'm assuming WWE just has an endless amount of money, so I'm not worried about that.
Well, they probably have their own company they've probably got an investment into some company that does the plating and everything like that. I'm sure it's not a big expense for them. Although I will say championships, not cheap, especially a good one.
No,
not cheap.
No, especially if you want to get to the big time out there. So yeah. Side note, what was your favorite championship design?
My favorite championship design clearly was,
whether it's current or old school.
For me, definitely was that 1990s Gold Eagle, the Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, that era, the Winged Eagle. Now, I mean, it's the one I grew up on, the first one I ever took recognition to and stuff like that. So that was the one that kind of got embedded in my mind. Outside of that, honestly, would be the Intercontinental Championship, because again, same deal. That was the old design from the 90s that they brought back once or twice. Those two designs in particular are what I grew up on when I was a kid. So again, it gets ingrained in your brain. That's what you start to learn. Not saying that they're definitely the best championship looks out there, but they definitely are the ones that, associate my brain back to pro wrestling all the time.
I'm kind of not, just because I don't want to say the same answers as you, because I also do love those. I also love the tag titles of those era as well.
Yeah.
I just thought they were amazing. The side plates were always amazing. That's what I loved about titles back then, was the side plates were so unique. But also I loved, and I'm going back to when they were TNA. They had tag titles, and I thought they were fantastic as well. I think TNA is very over appreciated with their title game at times. I thought they had beautiful looking championships as well. I know they put up some duds when they went into became Impact, but I mean, there's some home runs that they hit too. So, and New Japan has beautiful looking titles, except the one they have right now. That looks like, oh no, that looks like if I was to have too much sauce, what my toilet would look like now. Whereas before the sauce is what you used to have.
That's funny. No, I mean, in terms of belts that were dropped in 2022, I got to give credit to MLW's featherweight division, the one that Taya Valkyrie currently is holding. That title was beautiful looking. It really stood out. They needed it to stand out because if they're going to build that division, they not only needed a big name in terms of someone like a Taya Valkyrie, but they needed a beautiful championship as well too, and they nailed it with that featherweight belt.
Have not seen those. If you can, please send them to me. I'd like to check them out. But yeah, I think that kind of does it for that one. I think it's a good time now to kind of just show off a little bit of other things we have. So I'm just gonna say, hey people, go check out some of our socials if you don't mind. Go check out our Oli podcast on the Twitter, on the Instagram, on our Twitch if you are. There are some people watching on YouTube, which you can also find at our local establishment. Email us at olepodcasts@gmail.com. Make sure you're checking that out. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you have any interest in joining, being a guest, things like that, and of that nature, email us. We'll get back. DM us. We'll get back. Like we said, we're always looking to meet new people and work with more people. And then again, I think it's very, very important that we say, go to rogueenergy.com. Use our code word OLEPOD, save 10% of your order. They just got a new shaker. Ben Kurt one. Sign that barcode that Bobby is pointing to. Go check them right now. I'm going to tell you one thing. I started doing a little bit because a lot of people kind of have a misconception about them being an energy product. It gives you more natural energy. It's not like a Monster energy drink. I'm shouting the name out for a reason. Sponsor us. Where they give you that added fix. No, it provides you more natural like energy. So it uses your body to like kind of, what's the right word? It really just wants you to produce that natural energy. It's also a dietary supplement, so it will definitely cleanse you a little bit. So it's great. I started eating less processed foods, drinking this stuff. I'm not going to lie, people. I lost weight, and it feels great. I did that for my last few matches, and guess what? I jumped a little bit farther off the top. And trust me, my fat ass didn't always get there. But it got there those matches, and I think Rogue Energy helped out. So go check them out. Use that promo code OLEPODS. Save some money. Because we know financial stress is not what you want. So save that 10%.
And if you're stressing about potentially losing weight or getting healthier for 2023, you want to check out our local establishment on YouTube or here on Twitch. Myself and Melball did a show recently called Love Your Health, where we talk all about our health journey and everything like that, and also do our best to encourage all of you to do the same in 2023. Make sure to love your health and make sure to take care of yourself as we enter into this new year.
Hey, Bobby, know who needs to start taking care of themselves a little bit?
Who's that?
It's AJ Styles.
Ooh, oh no.
AJ Styles broke his ankle at a house show just a few days ago. And reporting that he is going to be out the longest he's ever been out in pro wrestling, which means, basing off the last time when he was hurt against Edge and it was his shoulder, AJ Styles is out for the Royal Rumble match. absolutely brutal news. I almost wanted to make this breaking news because of the irony. However, I didn't think that was appropriate. But yeah,
I
no,
like the dark humor
AJ's,
there.
yeah, I can't do that to AJ Styles.
If it
uh,
was anybody else, F them about AJ Styles.
you know what? If it was Dominic Mysterio, I would gladly have done it. And I actually kind of like what Dominic Mysterio is slowly becoming. But yeah, nonetheless, AJ Styles breaks his ankle out for the Royal Rumble. Very curious what this does for the OC moving forward. But I hope that they use this as a potential way to use Gallows and Anderson more into that tag team picture, because you can start developing a little bit more tag team feuds now. But yeah, AJ Styles out for the Royal Rumble. What are your thoughts? Chat, let us know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, this is a devastating blow in terms of having yourself a solid worker going into there. But again, you mentioned it before we went live, and we've talked about this many times, is that Triple H seems to have a potential plethora of talent at his fingertips for the Royal Rumble. And in the way that AJ Styles is currently being used, it's a minor blow currently, and it's definitely a big blow to AJ because it keeps him off TV longer than I'm sure he wants to be off TV. But let's take a look at the silver lining of this. What usually happens upon somebody returning from injury? You have an immediate pop, you have an immediate connection with the fan base and everything like that. If AJ Styles is out for a small period of time or longer than he's been out before, he comes back better than ever, ready to go, to a massive pop, and could be inserted back into the main card picture, which is something that has eluded him the last couple of years of his career. He's been doing great work with putting other people over and stuff like that and putting on quality matchups that at any point in time, and an opportunity like this presents itself, bring him back, insert him back into that picture. Here's a guy, I don't know, I can't recall, did we ever get a one-on-one true championship match, AJ Styles and Roman Reigns?
Well, we have. That's kind of like at the beginning of like kind of a while ago, like years ago we had it. We never got it in, I think, this form, like this way of Roman Reigns. Like, I don't think we've ever gotten that one like recently within the last year or so. I don't think that's ever been a thing, but I know like back before when AJ Styles was, doing his runs when he first won the world title. Yeah, like in that time, we're seeing a few AJ Styles, Roman Reigns matches. Because I do remember that some of the finishes included him going for that phenomenal forearm, but then he would get speared. So, yeah, I don't know, because I think that was the first time we were thinking, hey, could there be, how cool would Bullet Club versus a Shield be? And that was kind of like, okay, the guys in charge, kind of, or like, your perceived leaders going at it. I don't know. But also, I think back then when Roman was post-Shield, he was tagging with the Usos, calling themselves a bloodline, and just never picked up the way it has now. So, like, in a way, we might have actually had a bloodline versus, like, AJ, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows match, and may never have kind of known. But kind of have to go back and check that, to be honest. But, no, and I know, like, what I find is really bad about this, because I didn't peg AJ Styles as somebody who I think was going to win the Rumble. I didn't think we were going to see that, but I would have loved to see him be the guy. Like, I would have loved to see him, Gallows, and Anderson be the trio that goes after the Bloodline. After the Bloodline loses their titles, I thought that would have been a great, like, match and a great feud after, like, Roman drops the championships, Usos drop the championships, but it keeps everyone engaged. Kind of give you those similar vibes when the Shield and the Wyatts went with each other. That was just good stuff, and you don't even remember. You don't even care if it was for a title or not. But I don't know about you, but I forget that AJ Styles was Intercontinental Champion, and I would have loved to see AJ Styles get back in the Intercontinental Championship picture.
Yeah, certainly. And again, like, I mean, he's working over on Raw right now, I believe. But again, you could at any point in time either switch Gunther or switch AJ the other direction and have that kind of feud. I mean, AJ and Gunther working together, who doesn't want to see that? Because again, AJ is only going to help propel Gunther to another level. And likewise, Gunther brings that kind of intensity and that kind of level to a match as well, too. And I think that those two guys would work brilliantly together. And that, given the opportunity, once AJ is back and well, imagine, especially at that time, imagine Gunther could be on a whole different level at that time. I mean, we could be talking about a future world champion in Gunther by the time AJ is back and ready to go into that picture.
Well, that's just it. Like, who's to say that, like, when that happens, like, does AJ Styles and Gunther have to be that match? No. Could be AJ Styles and whoever defeats Gunther whenever that happens. But, yeah, but also to say Gunther and AJ would be pretty cool. Seeing Imperium versus the Club would be pretty cool to watch. Not going to lie. So, and then it would have been nice because, like, how funny would it be if, like, Mia Yim's still there and then Imperium has a Mia Yim problem? And, like, it's kind of a thing then. And then that's how Imperium brings, like, say, a female to their group. I'm not going to point at your fingers, but Ginny would be perfect. But, yeah.
You're gunning for that one hard. I know you have been.
I'm gunthering for that one hard, yeah.
You're gunthering for that.
I just think it makes sense. Yeah, I just think it makes sense to add a female to Imperium. Why not? Like, you can't tell me there's not one female in wrestling, in WWE, that doesn't fit that mold. Like, having someone who's so traditional in there and just like, and like we talk about how, like when we talk about like pureness, like Molly Holly was like that at some point, but she was too innocent pure for Imperium. You need somebody like maybe Ivory would have been a perfect fit for this, right? Like when she was in Right to Censor, like just translate that into Imperium, I think would have been a natural progression. Shout out Astrid. But yeah, no, I don't know. That's what I just think. But like staying on point to AJ Styles, it's such a brutal thing to happen to the kind of that mid card right now, because the mid card was really shaping up to be pretty solid on both shows. And AJ Styles and the Club were a huge part of that. So, really now a time for somebody to step up because, as you said, when you have a deep roster, that's unfortunate, but it's always a blessing in disguise because, that brings out an opportunity that maybe a Mustafa Ali, maybe if he comes back, Riddle, Ricochet, Riddick Moss, anybody could just be, okay, cool, thank you.
Yeah. And plus, who knows where we're going to go leading into WrestleMania 2. We could see call-ups before then. We might see returns before then. We might see unveilings before then, even for that matter. So we don't know who's going to be in what picture. We could be in for quite a stacked card come WrestleMania season when it comes to both days. This could be a good problem or a happy accident that they've got so many things going on and so many people on the roster that everybody wants to see. So I'm definitely excited as a fan moving forward to see where this all can go. Other than, yes, unfortunate for AJ Styles, but I'm excited for AJ's return once he comes back because it doesn't sound like this is so serious it's going to, bring a sudden halt to his career. So we're going to see AJ come back at some point in time, probably better than ever, and get the pop he receives and possibly go on that solo run that he hasn't been able to do for quite some time.
Yeah, I do believe that he should be okay. Like it's a broken ankle, and broken ankles take about maybe 8 weeks max. If
it depends on the severity. I
guess. We're looking at two months, so he should be back by March-ish. If you really want to be technical, so plenty of time for a build to WrestleMania. So I don't think he's going to miss WrestleMania, but the Rumble is definitely something.
Or if he does, he's the Monday after WrestleMania return.
Yeah, I just don't think that they'll take him out of WrestleMania because if WrestleMania is in April and he should be back by say March, early March, I don't know. How can you not have AJ Styles at WrestleMania?
I mean,
right?
again, of course you want to have them.
That wouldn't be so phenomenal. But yeah, getting away from the puns. Yeah, so absolutely, like just heartbreaking news. But yeah, hopefully he'll be back. He did say that he will be fine, so that's at least good news. But before we get into that, I'm just gonna play a quick little video for Rogue Energy, as you will, because you know we got a few of them. So checking out the flavors, as you will, of Rogue Energy, in case you're just like, you know what, you guys made me think about ordering, but what do I get? Just wait for me.
Such a badass video.
Yeah, so good that Melball, I want that video. Melball, it's in the StreamYard, in your banner, in your brand. So you should have it. Don't you worry.
You can play it as many times
yeah.
as you want while live streaming your reactions to Wrestle Kingdom coming up.
Ooh, there we go. Expanding your horizons. Expansion.
And look at me, just I get those. I love getting those plugs in. I love throwing in the plugs everywhere.
Speaking of expansion, Legado del Fantasma talking about expansion, dropping the subtle hint. So subtle, Santos Escobar flat out said, "Expect expansion in 2023."
Yeah.
Who are we thinking could be the expansion? But yeah, the comments coming in. We're going to need that rogue that night. Oh, you damn right you will. Dragon Lee.
Man.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking right off the bat. But here's something that I'm going to point out, or theory, right? Not Austin, but another theory.
Not an Austin theory.
They flat out said Dragon Lee's going to NXT. What if we're seeing a return of Andrade?
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned it before we went live, and of course, there is that strong possibility. Again, you can imagine with the problems that he's had over on the AEW side, and probably his desire to return, feeling like he was properly used when Triple H was in charge. Not only that, but his wife Charlotte now back in return, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that right away too. But again, that would be a massive name for that group. Again, you mentioned the ties with Zelina Vega as well too. So, I mean, it all lends itself to good storytelling while bringing in a name to the group. And again, somebody who I think flourished way more under the Triple H regime than he did in any other place so far.
Yeah, and Mel's coming in saying, I'd rather see Dragon Lee feud with Legado. I'm not going to lie. I kind of want to see an LWO. I'm not going to lie. I feel if there's one time to do LWO and it would make sense, you can actually do it here. Imagine if you saw like Ray and Dragon Lee team up to go up against LDF. Which, by the way, Ray is on SmackDown, so it can happen. You're also, a potential of like, hey, there's, Lucha House Party. See if they're available and wanting to come back. Maybe there's other contracts.
You leave Lucha House Party alone. We got Lindsay. We got Lindsay doing good work in MLW. Just leave it alone. Stop taking all the MLW people. Get tired of it.
Hey. He was fed first, all right? Melball coming in saying Andrade's, Dragon Lee, and Charlotte could be the entrance of Los Angeles to WWE. I mean, Hey, we're talking about a lot of potential. I mean, and I didn't even add. Actually, you know what? I'll save that. I'll save this because we got to get the graphic up at some point. Actually, you know what?
You need to do it. You're gonna do
We'll
it.
just do it because it's so fitting.
Breaking news, you say?
So we're talking about LD expansion. We're talking about New Japan groups to WWE. There is highly heavy rumors that come Royal Rumble, we're gonna see a Forbidden Door entrant. I cannot stress how much I believe WWE and New Japan have probably a working relationship, or at least it's a thing. We're seeing a lot of things happen right now, whether it's Carl Anderson and the Never Openweight Championship, and that's being referred to on WWE TV. We're seeing Shinsuke Nakamura being granted a match with Great Muta, which, oh my. Not gonna talk about what Great Muta said about Shinsuke, but go check that out. Bodyslam.net.
That shit doesn't belong on Busted Out.
There's just some things we don't like to talk about. But moving away from that, now we're seeing Mercedes Renato, formerly known as Sasha Banks, who's now legally allowed to appear elsewhere and wrestle elsewhere. Nobody knows for sure what's going on in that one. So who knows? And who's to say if there's going to be any talent trades going there? Yeah, no, well, I know it's not New Japan. I'm just saying that you're seeing WWE work with other companies in Japan. And I'm using that. So, I'm aware that that's Noah, not New Japan. And shout out to Kyle Sebastian, who also, a friend of mine, worked with Noah back in the day. People always forget that, and I always like to remind them. She's out of WWE, and she'll be on AEW on the 11th. You know what? Check out that on the 11th. We'll see if that's right. I personally don't think she should. Staying back to the LDF expansion. Breaking news, if this is... Yeah. Staying on LDF expansion.
Now who's going off the rails?
Yeah. That being said, LDF expansion is what we're talking about right now. I don't know. If it's not Dragon Lee, if it's not Andrade, let's just play curious spectating wrestling fan, because, that's never a thing. Who else could it be? Is it even somebody who's Latino in that way, like Mexican? Is it even somebody in that field? Would it be somebody else? But what do you think?
I mean, honestly, if you're going to keep the group in that direction, you would think that you would want to keep it going in that direction. But then who do you bring in again? Like, I think Andrade's
could it be Rey Mysterio?
Okay, that could work. It definitely could work. Again, you're bringing in some of a senior wrestler that's definitely going to bring a lot of experience and wisdom, and it would give something new for Rey as well too. So I'm not opposed to that theory, that Austin theory that you have there. That's a rather curious one, and I kind of like it.
Well, come on, I'm not saying Austin Theory. Although Austin Theory does have Zelina Vega history. But I'm just curious because this, I don't know. I mean, who doesn't like, these tidbits of information, like Easter eggs, if you will. It'd be, and that's the thing. We think it's a male. It could not be. It could very well be a female.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also the thing. Like, I'm just looking at potential females. Like, I heard a rumor that Deonna Purrazzo was being looked at by WWE as when her Impact Wrestling contract was up, they'd be heavily wanting to bring her back.
And so
I don't know what her background is, but could this be a name that they bring into that one? I don't know. But like, I'm just very interested on this one because I think LDF is one of the groups that people kind of push. I don't want to say push aside, but they overlook because, you have your bloodlines, you have your OCs, you have your judgment days, you have your hit rows, you have your Imperiums. Oh yeah, and there's also LDF, but I think LDF is one of the better ones. Oh, and Brawling Brutes as well. Like, there's a lot of groups in WWE right now, but LDF is one. Like, it's one to me that I just think if you sleep on them, you're making a big mistake. I think Santos Escobar is a future world champion. I think Zelina Vega is one of the best valet / mics in the business right now. I think when she's in that manager role, she's almost untouchable. And I do think Joaquin Wilde, I think the world of him as a performer. So it's, to me, I just think it's absolutely silly to sleep on LDF. They are, I think, finally growing into the mold of what they are. But right now, like, it's just, when they say the world's your oyster, I hate that because I think it's such a stupid saying, but it's so true. That as long as there's a commitment to these guys, they're going to absolutely flourish. And I do think if you bring in a name like an Andrade, one, people are going to care about it because he's a proven entity in that company. But I also believe that's exactly what it needs to bring it over the top.
No, I was just thinking for a moment there too, if they wanted to go outside of the company and bring in somebody new, and I'm not talking about somebody who has graced their presences before or anything like that, you could bring in somebody like Holodead. Now, Holodead has got the size, the strength, the look, everything that she needs to start getting over. And again, given somebody like Zelina in her corner being introduced to the WWE audience, I think that she would fit the mold great. She could be that devastating factor for the women's division and stuff like that. Somebody that could go on the heel side of things. She's got great in-ring experience. She knows how to handle her work. I think that she'd be a great fit and a great addition to the WWE should they choose to take a look at someone like Holodead.
Yeah, and that'd actually be a really cool dynamic, having a female superstar with a female mouthpiece. That doesn't happen very much, especially in WWE. I think that'd be a very welcoming addition, because when you go down the list of female superstars or wrestlers in WWE right now, there isn't one with a female manager. Like, if anything, you may see a male manager, but you don't really see a female one. Well, so, I mean, I would have a lot of time for that.
Well, unless you start to just look at, geez, I'm having a brain fart now, but Ronda's partner in crime there is her manager, but Shayna
Baszler?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, but really, I don't see that as a manager role. I think now that now that Ronda lost the SmackDown Championship on SmackDown to Charlotte Flair, who has returned. New theme song. Don't know if I like it, by the way. Way too much of her dad's beginning in that one, which, come on, man. Like, can we not start establishing second and third generational superstars as their own people? Cody Rhodes, prime example. He doesn't have to be just like Daddy. Pretty sure Goldust did the same thing. They're doing all right. Rant, sorry. But yeah. So I don't know, very, very interesting to see, because I think the last time we saw a manager for women was probably when Paige wasn't allowed to compete or cleared, and she was mouthpiece for the Kabuki Warriors, Kairi Sane and Asuka, or even in Absolution for Sonya and Mandy. I think that might have been the last time we saw
it. And with good reason, because Vince didn't know how to utilize it. That's the problem. So I think I trust a little bit more with that kind of concept, and I think that it could work if done properly.
Yeah, he had a lot of other issues, and let alone this one. I don't think I don't think I fault him with the using of maybe not wanting to medically clear some people, just because it's safety, right? I mean, you can't hate the company for being so on one side about making sure that they don't injure themselves again. The WWE can be very demanding of a schedule, so I can understand why they're so extreme on the whole. No, we're not going to medically clear you because of the history, whatnot. We just want you to be okay.
Yeah,
I don't hate him for that. I hate him for other things though.
Lots of things.
Yeah, there's plenty of other things too I dislike him about. That I don't know if it's really one. But yeah. So yeah, before we kind of go into, I want to say maybe our final topic. I'm not sure, but yeah, anything else you want to kind of plug? Maybe this might be a good time for what's going on.
Yeah, well, again, it should be a good time to play you guys what we call our weekly calendar, because we got a lot of kick-ass shows coming at you this week on our local establishment. We got a lot of great contributors bringing you a lot of great things throughout the week, and we're going to play you a quick 1-minute video to show you what's coming up this week from OLE Podcast. Stay tuned.
To me, like a voice inside my head. It's like a fight that I cannot win it. Frustrated, intoxicated, I know I'm losing myself. I can't take it anymore. But I'm not done. I'm not done. I won't give up until the end. But I won't fall. I'll stand away.
Yeah, so that is the list of shows that we have coming up this week from our local establishment. But again, you can always check out YouTube and other various things from all of our contributors. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe, do all those kind of things that help us out here and help us be able to bring you brand new material and grow the channels as well too. And we want to thank each and every one of you that did support our local establishment over the last few months as we kickstarted it at the tail end of 2022, and I'd say very successfully as well too. So thanks to a lot of the people here, like everybody behind the scenes at our local establishment or on screen at our local establishment, who continue to push forward and give up countless amounts of hours to make all these things possible. And also every single one of you that have ever hopped in a chatted with us, given us a follow, a like, a subscribe, or even rated one of our shows as well too. This means the world to us, and we can't do it without each and every one of you. So a big thank you from everyone here at our local establishment for everything you guys do. I believe that you are muted, Mr. Parrish.
You're right.
There we go.
I had a burp earlier, so I didn't want to get that on screen.
That is fair. And of course, Happy New Year to you, Barry Monkey 99.
I still love that name. Just anything with monkeys is just funny. But yeah, no, to echo to what you're saying, it's been absolutely just a whirlwind of emotions. When obviously a lot of people understand that a lot of us here at OLE were from another platform. So just being able to establish our own name, establish our own channel like this, and getting the positive support from everyone, we cannot appreciate and say thank you enough, because we know how much this would not work without it. So we are very humbled, thankful, and appreciative of everything you do. Like you said, like, subscribe, follow, raid, share, all that good stuff. It's absolutely amazing. Even if you're using just OLE pods on Rogue Energy, just, you know, those little things go such a long way, and we appreciate that. But yeah, we're not going to look in the past. We're going to look to the future. 2023, our first full year, start to finish. Let's see what we can do. So it's going to be fun. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Ready to bust out into the future. And speaking of busting out, brings us to the final topic. Who will bust out in 2023 and become the next face of pro wrestling? And this is open-ended, not necessarily WWE, not just AEW, but all. Hello, Astrid. Busting
see, perfect
in
timing.
just to say hello. Yeah.
Perfect timing. You say who's going to be in the next face of pro wrestling, and you bring Ashford up in the chat there. So, like, right there, I mean, enough said. Topic over. We're good.
I know. Yeah. Okay. Well, that'll do it for today. No. But yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
And that's just the beauty, because I think like in 2022, I think just staying on top. Like we saw MJF finally become the face of AEW. We knew that it was going to happen, but he took that leap. We saw Sami Zayn take things to a next level in his career. Roman Reigns established himself in 2022. I'm sure you can say who guys did it in MLW. Like I'm sure you can say the Hammerstones of the world just emphasized how much of a star he is in 2022, among other people. That's not who I'm looking for. I think who I'm looking for is somebody that hasn't scratched that surface, who's going to emerge in that new light. And it could be company-wide, worldwide, maybe we even see, say, Jamie Hayter take her game to a next level and become the man kind of a thing. But in AEW, I'm not saying the man, but I'm just saying as much as Becky Lynch went there a few years ago, maybe we see Jamie Hayter kind of go there and take that next step.
Yeah, and for me, I am going to go to MLW on this one, and not that I'm expecting them to be a breakout star in MLW because they're already on the cusp of stardom over there as it is. I'm talking about getting signed by one of the big companies, and I fear this every single day that I tune into MLW that this is going to happen. We're going to lose him over there. But because of the fact that this guy last year just barely broke into the PWI top 500 for singles wrestlers. I'm talking about, I think he was about 481 on that list in the previous year, and then jumped all the way to 80, I believe 87 or 88 this year. It was in the 80s anyway. So a huge jump of over 400 spots in a single year. And I'm talking about Alex Kane. The suplex assassin, Alex Kane, not only possesses a good size and wrestling ability inside the ring, this guy is a talker, and he has that gift of the gab to just go at it. He doesn't need to be scripted. He just has that natural it factor. And again, anyone who hasn't had an opportunity to see Alex Kane, check him out, because this is a guy that you're going to see signed by an AEW or a WWE or somewhere along those lines, and he's going to accelerate very, very well because he picks it up so easily, so quickly, and he just has it. He's very, very new to the industry, but he has made a very big splash very quickly, and I think that star is only going to continue to rise until he busts through the so-called glass ceiling, as they'd say.
Melball coming in, Mina Shirakawa. She has a base with Stardom. She joined at Brookside and May. Her English is really good. I expect to see her traveling a lot this year. Nice. Let me know if I did that name well, because I butcher stuff like this. Bear Monkey coming in, generally massive star of the future is Masha Slamovich. Yeah, I think we could see, and I think this is saying something, but I do think we are primed to see an even bigger 2023 than maybe 2022 or.
Look at you. Woohoo! Somebody give this guy an award.
Yeah, you didn't fuck up award. But no, I think 2023, more so than any other year, we might see more growth out of the women's division, and we might see more actual stars in the women's division now. I'm going to go back to when we saw, the Alondra Blazes, the Trish Stratuses, that time frame, Lita's, Ivory's, Awesome Kongs. There's that time in I want to say between 96 and 2006 where we saw probably the most amount of Probably the most amount of like big time names in women's wrestling. And I know I'm not hitting them all. I'm talking about just the ones that I know and watch myself. But I think we're going to surpass that in 2023. I think we're going to see a lot of females. I think Jordan Grace is going to be right there. I think we're going to see a resurgence from Britt Baker as well. But we're going to see, as in the Masha Slamoviches, whether it's Jamie Haters, say whoever you want. But like, there's going to be more stars coming out of the women's division and women wrestling than I think in the men's. And I think that's going to be very true. I think we're going to see a lot of, I don't want to say status quo, but that's probably the best thing to say with the men's. I think we might see a few, but I think we're going to see a lot more out of the women's.
Well, and are people still sleeping on Simone Johnson? Because I thought she was starting to stand out like a, like a sore thumb. And again, Camille, I mean, any day of the week for sure. But like, again, Simone Johnson, from what I understand, is
you're
really
talking about Ava Rain, right?
Yes, I am talking about Ava Rain. Sorry. I couldn't remember. Alba Fires, Ava Rains. I can't keep up with it. But I mean, obviously Dwayne Johnson's daughter, like talk about boots to have to try to walk in. And I'm glad that she's not just trying to step into dad's boots. She's going the NXT route. She's learning from the ground up. She's getting that training in. She's getting out there with a name that doesn't reflect on who her father is. I think it's going to be fantastic for her, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, it's well, she doesn't want to start from rock bottom.
Good call. Yeah, nice play.
Yeah, but at the same time, no, I think what she's doing is great. She hasn't really wrestled much. She's been more of that supporting role right now in Schism. I don't think it's fair to expect this insane climb from her because what she's doing is week by week growth, which I think is the right way for her, just to become a little bit more natural, a little bit more comfortable in this in line of work, I think. So I like that. I like the slow burn with her. It's the same with Dominic Mysterio. I don't think there needs to be huge progressions. If there are, that's great, as long as there's not huge regressions to follow. And I think that's the important thing. I'm definitely on the long haul with Ava Rain, Simone Johnson. I do think, maybe we're talking about her in the 2025 as somebody in this category. I don't think it's right now. I do think there's a plethora of women that are more ready for that role than her right now. But I do expect her to be there at some point. And I do think, it's in our genes, man. When you're a Samoan, first of all, you know how to work, because there's not a bad Samoan worker out there. That's just impossible. Two, that family alone, I'm just going to say the immediate family, first ever, fourth generation. It's also a lot of pressure, by the way. Also, The Rock's daughter, sure. But I mean, we just saw Ric Flair's daughter become a 14-time women's champion. So I think if you have somebody like that in your company willing to, pick the brain of, I think you might be okay when it comes to understanding the pressure. Plus, I don't think she's getting the backlash of being The Rock's daughter like Charlotte did. Plus, it's not like her dad gets as much trouble as Charlotte's dad did. So I think she's going to be okay. But yeah, no, personally, I just don't think she's at that point yet. I just like to see her become Ava Rain. And I think she's learning that right now. And I Joe Gacy is doing such a great job helping her.
Yeah. And I think that's probably going to be the best thing about it, is that, she submits something of her very own without having to have that association, and continues that authentic growth. And again, if that growth happens quickly, then let it happen quickly. But again, allow it to happen authentically, and you'll have a star on your hands. I'm sure of that, because like you said, it runs in that family bloodline and every branch of that family bloodline too, because that bloodline runs deep. As I found out this summer, doing a little bit of research more on that family, and being able to talk to a member of their family as well too, it continues to grow, and they're constantly new members joining the wrestling business all the time. Again, we had another one of the members of the bloodline just recently start getting into training himself, and that's Jacob Fatu's younger brother as well too. So we got another, potential Jacob Fatu on our hands. Again, Jacob Fatu, another name that could become a big face of pro wrestling if the right company got behind him and ignored, maybe some of his troubles in the past. And we're able to get around that and put him in the right spot. He's one of the finest workers in pro wrestling today. And he's just clean in everything he does while making it look like it hurts every time.
If the BWO wasn't already a thing, I would have said we would have seen the Bloodline World Order. But now I'm just going to go with Samoan World Order. So
I like it. It's a nice touch.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it really is. I mean, you've got
yeah,
all sorts of divisions all over the place with the Samoans right now. So,
oh my God, at some point, I mean, you're going to just be able to do a Royal Rumble with the Samoans, and and then you're going to see Sami Zayn in there, and you're just going to be like,
Sami.
And he's going to do that little hand thing with one of the Usos, and then he's just going to get thrown out, and it's going to be hilarious. But no, if I want to say, if I'm going to stay with WWE on the women's side, I'm going to say Cora Jade's probably my pick to be that breakout star in 2023. If I was to go with AEW, I do think Jamie Hayter plans on just taking a gigantic leap. Although that women's division is interesting because I do believe there's multiple that can make there. If I'm staying with Impact, I think Jordan Grace is going to outgrow Impact Wrestling in 2023. I think that could be a legit thing. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. Who in terms of women, who would be your pick for the breakout star 2023? Who's gonna be the chick that busts out the most? That doesn't sound good, but
definitely not a family show anymore. But again, depending on where she shows up and the capacity that she's used in, for me, Deonna Purrazzo. This is a talent who has continued to not only get better year after year, but she showed in 2022 how great she could be working across multiple platforms there with different women. She walks into a WWE and AEW, doesn't matter where, she looks like a star, she presents herself like a star, and she will be a star. And again, once she shows up sometime this year amongst one of the bigger companies, that is going to be the talk of the wrestling community, and I believe that her stardom will only continue to rise and accelerate her to bigger places.
Yeah, and I know you said Alex Kane for your men's side. I would be hard pressed to think one of Austin Theory, or maybe. Actually, yeah, I might even say Austin Theory just because he's already on that cusp. But man, Carmelo Hayes, I think very well could be that person. And I do think we're going to see some NXT call-ups, him being one, Braun Breaker possibly being another. But I look at Carmelo Hayes as being someone who can go into the main roster. You could have those feuds with Ricochet, and people are talking about it. I think he's going to have those feuds with, the Santos Escobar, who, man, it was hard for me not to pick him. Really hard for me not to pick him. But the only reason I did or did not is if they bring in a bigger name for LDF, he's taking that back seat right away to that big name. He's going to be primed to be a mid-card champion in 2023, in my opinion. But yeah, if I was to go to AEW though, because this is the one that I'm really curious, I want to see where Ricky Starks goes. He needs to get bigger. If people are going to give Adam Cole that you're too small treatment, I think Ricky Starks is right there. But I think Ricky Starks has a personality, and I think he has the charisma to be very big. But he needs those right feuds to do that. But then I think he is someone to watch in 2023 as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, he's been a standout at the tail end of the year here and everything like that. Depending on how he's treated, will really depend on how that star continues to rise. But I do hope the best for him again. Pop Smokes and I were talking a little bit about him on Thursday night as well too. Haven't seen his work prior to him getting signed over in AEW. Much like MGF, we saw an authentic rise for the two of them, and those are the type of the guys that AEW needs to ride with and needs to accelerate to the top in order to continue to bolster their roster, especially with, new faces and new names in the industry.
Yeah. Barry Monkey coming in saying, just looking at the small rugby players, some of them make Reigns look small.
They do. I bet they do.
You know, the one thing I'm gonna say about rugby players, even on TV, they look big, but pro wrestlers sometimes don't look that big until you see them live, and then you're like, holy. I remember going back, I knew Lashley was big, but when I got to see him fight MMA for the first time, because he did that in Edmonton, and I literally stood like right beside him as he was making his way down, because we had like pretty good seats. You just like look up and you're just like, holy shit. And you're just mouthing that because you don't realize that this guy's muscles are like as big as your face. And you're just like, how is that natural? That can't be natural. It's just insane. But yeah, rugby players, some of the toughest people in the world.
Yeah.
Do not mess with a rugby team. Just don't. No. I mean, like, you know what I want to see?
Boys.
You know how there's that thing where there's like that slap thing where guys like sit or stand in front of each other and they just slap each other, and they got to see like who can knock them out first or whatever. Yeah, put some rugby players in that. That would be interesting. Thanks. Just like, I just want to see, like, you know, that scene in Old School when you have the really big guy and he's about to do like the jump on like the I forget what it's called, but the bar or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, Abdul's there to spot you, and they found like the smallest kid and he's just waving, and you're just like, this is not going to end well. I want to see somebody like Abdul's size, like that's just really small, skinny guy, thinking he's like so tough, like doing this or whatever, going to slap, and then all of a sudden you just see this big Samoan mother, and he's just coming in, and you're just like, he could tap you, and you're going to go on the best night dream you'll ever have. And I just want to see that. I don't know. I want to see that pop up on my shorts videos on Instagram. That'd be terrific.
And I could see somebody like a Jacob Fatu doing that as well too. Because I mean, while Fatu might want to be one of the cleanest workers in the industry, I believe he's one of the most street tough people in the industry as well too, because he had a rough upbringing. And if he was granted an opportunity to slap some smug kid's face like that, I'm sure he wouldn't hesitate at the opportunity to be the guy to do it. And I could just picture it happening. And I personally wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of one of those slaps from that guy.
Well, they said the same about Haku. It's like, even though like he didn't look like that, like on screen, but like backstage, that's just one guy you didn't mess with. And it was just like, yeah, you know what? When you kind of start looking at a guy like that, yeah. But yeah, no, I think, I don't know. I don't know where to go from here. I am going to be looking at people to raid right now.
All right. Well, yeah, it's a good time to check out.
Do you have any? Yeah, not really finding a lot of people. A lot of people might be hungover today, man.
There's a few hungover. You know what? Let's. You know what? I'm gonna send you right in the private chat so that you can maybe add this one to the OLE version. This is somebody who I've gone and supported, and I believe that would do the same for us. So I'm just going to send you that link right there in the private chat, Parrish. I believe that we should give this guy a raid and give him a warm welcome from all of us here at OLE as well too. Really cool guy, does some great gaming and stuff like that. Slime Gaming. So go give him a good OLE welcome. And again, hopefully Parrish will get that geared up as we're, coming to an end of our show ready here today. Anyway, we're ready to go. Okay, of course. But we're coming to an end of the program. And of course, Parrish, I want to know, If anyone wants to reach out to you for next Sunday's Bust Out, where can they find you in the meantime and in between time?
Well, anything involving our local establishment content, make sure you're checking in ole@gmail.com. That is the email you want. But if you want to personally get a hold of me, find out, what I have going on, then you want to make sure you're going to these socials. You're going on my Twitter at Chris Parrish, Instagram at Chris Parrish, my Twitch at the Chris Parrish, YouTube at youtube.com/@the Chris Parrish, or just Chris Parrish, sorry. But yeah, Chris Parrish at hotmail.com is my email. If you guys have any inquiries or anything about me, that is where you can find me. In terms of podcasting, every Sunday at 12:15 Eastern, I have that guy along with this guy going off the rails at the bus station, busting out every Sunday. Come check us out. It'll be a grand old time, and we might make you spit out water because we are being idiots. That's what we do.
Or your chip buddy sandwich. You can check out the ticker below if you want to learn where to find me. Again, check out, like, subscribe, do all those crazy things. Always doing as much content as possible throughout the weeks. This week, of course, as you saw on the calendar, you're going to be able to join myself and Carl Carafel for another episode of Beats and Beatdowns on Wednesday. And again, we return to more MLW action on Thursday night. So myself and Papa Smokes, we're going to be back with Fusion this coming Thursday night. And again, the big championship matchup between the Judge, EJ and Duca, and Alexander Hammerstone taking place, as well as Willie Mack coming back to MLW. He's going to be taking on Jacob Fatu. So we're looking forward to talking about that. And then, as always, next Sunday for another episode of Busting Out. Again, this show, but it's such a fun show because we do have topics, but we can have fun. We can chill out. We don't have to. There's no restrictions here. It's a chill time. Love it.
Yeah, and when you kind of think about it, this is the 2023 now. This is the first time where we're entering a year and we don't have anything COVID related. There's no restrictions of any sort. 2022, you had it. 2021, you had it. 2020, you had it. Since 2019, this is the first time a year started where there's nothing about that. So here's to a less restricted world that we live in. So less restricted that we're now going to go and raid Slime One Gaming in about 8 seconds time. So we just want to say thank you to everyone who came in and supported us. Make sure you're showing Slime Gaming the OLE way. Love and support, that good stuff. Enjoy this channel. And for all who are don't worry. Any of us watching on YouTube, we are going to close the show like normal. So again, thank you so much for spending your time joining us today. We appreciate it. And we will see you next week with a busting. And